day after her anti-Indian post on Facebook. She on the 452, right? I'm waiting to read the list. Urvashi Tiwari Rupnarayan is now the living symbol of real journalism in this country. And she, all 5'2", 95 pounds of her, is more man than every male politician and journalist in this country. And she is under attack right now, and the nation needs to stand with Urvashi. I asked that they call your son among those retrenched. Gregory Sloan Seal told me he left there a long time. I asked him where he landed. I got a message just today from the sister of a former government minister. And she said, I know people want to say all kind of things about you. The thing that they need to say is how hard you work for the people. Philip, I know you know this because so many people say it to you. You are out there fighting this fight. When everybody, fed up and tired, you find that love within yourself and pick yourself up, put yourself out. Thank you for all that you do. You are on the courts, not in the stands. I respect you and acknowledge you. May God continue to bless you and energize you. And I love people who take the time to send me that. So here it is one.
It's so depressing, and I know I got so many emails about what's happening with Zambia, and a lot of people wanted me to comment on is Zambia now, China, China. Actually, you guys, it's not even a funny story. Zambia is the first African nation to become a full Chinese colony, and we joke about some of these things, but what has happened is really, really tragic. And I warned you guys, this is what was going to happen. But also, this shows you that we're closer and closer to a major global war. Because I told you, the Europeans are not going to just sit back and let China take over Africa. Now, what has happened is that Zambia defaulted on a couple of loans. And so they lost their power company, Zesco, and that has been taken over by the Chinese. Their major national electricity company is now being run by China. Now, if that isn't even worse, they've also lost, a few months ago, they lost their Zambia Broadcasting Corporation. It's called the ZNBC. I think it's the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation, which is now fully owned by China. And, the government has been denying that this is the case. They've been trying to play cute. They've been trying to play, like everything is okay. But they have actually been in secret talks over how their national electricity company would be taken over. This is crazy. Do you think an African country would be allowed to run China's national electricity company? And, it just shows you that China's neo-colonial strategy is reaching ahead. I mean, it's reaching its climax. They've been doing this covert business for so long. And now, they've got their tentacles so deep inside. They've got their tentacles so deep inside that it's going to be hard for some countries to turn back. Now, what's happened is, their whole strategy is they encourage indebtedness. So, hey, they come with the money. They come with the money. They give you.
That piece of bullshit highway, I found out the Victoria Keys, which was originally Housing for Poor People, Powder Magazine Part 2, that the UNC thought was too nice to give to poor people, so they spent the next couple $100 million on it to expand it, and then the PNM came into office and gave it to friends and financiers at a subsidized rate, which means that poor taxpayers, little CPEP workers, people who selling cigarettes under the flyover in Chaguanas have paid for the living arrangements of people living in Victoria Keys. And if that wasn't enough of an insult and a slap in the face of Trinbagonians, they are now going to be building a $500 million flyover so that people who live in Victoria Keys could get to Westmore instead of having to drive to Mukurapo and turn around. Yes, see, This country a joke insane. That $500 million, we spending it by China for Chinese workers and Chinese bullshit.
Then they, once you default, they start to take over strategic assets because of failure of repayment. And you see, what China has done is they have studied countries that are corrupt. They have studied countries that, that are greedy, that have greedy leaders, which is most African nations. And that's why we find most African nations are in this situation. And then they kind of have this, their long-term outcome is the effective ownership of commanding heights of the economy. Remember I did that thing on the Seven Mountains prophecy, health, economy, etc., media, entertainment. So they come in, they give you a deal you can't refuse. They pour that money on you. They pour that money on you. They pour that money on you. And then all of a sudden, they come collecting. And they're very vicious when they start collecting. And you know what? Even the Chinese government, they know they actually have a problem in Zambia and other nations. But you know what they said? They were just like, us, we're protecting the Chinese. If your people cannot negotiate for you, if Zambians cannot look, if the Zambian government and the Zambian politicians cannot look after the entrance of Zambia, that's not our fault. But this is not going to be possible. And you know what? I was doing deeper research into this matter, and it gets even worse. Now, Zambia's president was actually in China last week for the China-Africa Summit, and I'll talk in the future about the $61 billion or $60 billion that the Chinese government allegedly gave to Africa with no strings. There ain't no free lunch. Come on, guys. There ain't no free lunch. And one of the biggest problems with all these deals that China has signed with African governments is we don't know what they've done. We don't know what they've signed away. We don't know the kind of agreements they've made because all of them were done hush-hush and behind the scenes. So all we're being told in Africa and in China is, oh, China's giving Africa money. Oh, you're getting money. Oh, they're funding this. Oh, they're funding that. Oh, they're funding infrastructure projects. But we're not told, okay, the debt repayment is this percentage, and if you fail to pay this percentage, you're going to be in trouble. We're not told that.
And we are not told that in Trinidad either. And that's the problem. And that's what China and corrupt governments do. And they pretty much enslave the economy and the people of the country by this loose debt arrangement that they make by giving governments money without, you see, they're printing it doesn't matter. They're giving governments money with no strings attached. So the government know that they have nobody else looking. If you're taking a $250 million loan from China, you could share it among yourselves, and there's nobody to report that to. Nobody, China ain't coming to say, hey, you were supposed to spend that on this and you were supposed to spend that on that. That's not happening. So where we go from there is another video that I'm hoping that I have to play for you. But it does not look like I have it, and if I don't, I apologize. But it's just to give you more example of what's going on in Africa. And no, I don't have that video, but I could try and find it. If you give me a minute. Sorry about that. We're at 667. Now, if you Google China's Africa debt trap, what it is China has embarked on a colonization policy to expand Chinese power throughout the world using soft money, slush money, with greedy, what that woman just said, greedy and corrupt politicians. And we Now tonight we have 2 videos to watch, so people are gonna, it's a double feature, I guess. I had to do that, I have no choice. I mean, we could have stopped right where we were, but there are some things that I wanted to be able to touch on. I want you to hear this.
It has been a while since I have done a Facebook Live, and that's partially because Facebook has been censoring, obviously, a lot, and banning my posts and limiting my reach because they do not want the truth to get out about a lot of things. So
I feel you
I would
there,
start the video
Candace.
by saying, please
Candace
share.
Owens.
It's the only way that we can stop the Facebook censorship that is going on and that we can communicate with one another. I will also say, if you have not yet, please download and make the jump to Parler, because we know that's a company that does not engage in censorship and is not a part of the big tech collusion. Okay, so if you guys have been watching my new show with Daily Wire, you know that I am starting to, I'm trying to slowly unpack China.
Wait a minute.
lot of viewers.
I don't know if I should
realize that
stick up in there and share our new video, part 2, on the WhatsApp. I don't know if Satish, Joseph, reach out to Satish and see if he is on the thread, because I want to know if he putting it in the WhatsApp groups. If not, if you could please, I'm gonna send it to the WhatsApp broadcast. So part 2 is the one, which one? The one that's running now? I don't know. 1453. Yeah, this will be this. So, sorry, just give me a minute, because I have to share this to our broadcast lists. Satish is saying that the newsfeed shared. So I got that. So I just need to get the link. Satish, do me a favor, please send me a WhatsApp with the link to this live. So I could share that too. And then I want to come back and deal with this Candace Owens video. And there's another video I'm looking for. So while I'm waiting on Satish to send me that, I'm going to look and see if I have that video on this page, because I want to share this video out with the WhatsApp. We have WhatsApp groups and we have WhatsApp broadcasts. Again, I'm just trying to tell you the amount of work. When you hear Candace Owens talk and you hear her say how Facebook and big tech works against her, that's exactly what we're dealing with on a daily basis. I just want to see if I have this video on this page. And if I do, I'll play that now. It doesn't look, I don't know where this video is. If it's not here, and it doesn't look like it is. The AV oil issue, our research officer, Anne-Marie Doolal, she posted today that the audit said, and this is where the whole AV oil case should be hinged, and the whole AV oil investigation. If the Cat's Hill field wells couldn't produce $100 million worth of oil, how did you get $100 million worth of oil to bill the state for? It comes down to that. It comes down to that. That's what we need to know. Trinbago, not which lawyers better than which lawyers. What we need to know is the truth where that is concerned. Yeah? Sorry about this. I want to get back to this post and give you this.
guys, it has been a while since I have.
This is Candace Owen. Those of you who know who she is.
A while while since I have done a Facebook Live.
And let you hear some of this.
Partially because Facebook has been
Satish, did you send me
obviously.
that thing? Did you send me that yet? Yes, he did. Let me just copy this and share this. Because it's important to get, we were at 1,300 viewers when we had that interruption. But say what, life is life. We move on from here. Today I got a call, while I'm doing this I want to tell you this. Today I got a call from a woman, she's an attorney, and she is a strong political voice. And she called to tell me, she said, Philip, I keep meaning to call you, and I don't know if I should call you or not to call you. And today I just realized, look, you know what? I'm going to call him and tell you that what you're doing is spot on and don't stop. And that she's here to be a part of what happens next. We're going to talk before I go tonight. We're going to talk about the activist council that you heard some about last night.
A lot, and banning my
Please
posts
share
and
this
limiting
video.
my reach because they do not want the truth to get out about a lot of things. So I will start the video by saying, please share, which is the only way that we can stop the Facebook censorship that is going on and that we can communicate with one another. I will also say, if you have not yet, please download and make the jump to Parler because we know that's a company that does not engage in censorship and is not a part of the big tech collusion. Okay, so if you guys have been watching my new show, The Daily Wire, you know that I am starting to, I'm trying to slowly unpack China for a lot of viewers because I've realized that there is a huge deficit in terms of what America knows about China, and that is very intentional. Right now in school, you are learning about critical race theory, you are learning about all of these genders, and no one is actually talking about foreign policy or teaching our children history, which is why most importantly, be sure to share this video with your children. Make sure that young people see this video. If you are a young person, share this video because it's really important. And I'm going to try to go slowly and try to keep this under 10 minutes. So
we're not watching the whole video, but you had a happy piece of this.
We live in modern times. You might go, that's very obvious, but there's a lot of stuff that comes with living in modern times. The first thing is that there's no longer, especially in the West, there's no longer a ground for people to invade countries in the way that they used to, meaning that you're not going to see in modern times
share the video, please.
America, and people trying to take over America very obviously, right? So any form of trying to take down a country is going to be very tacit. It's going to be very slow, and it's going to never look like an attack. Hence the reason why so many people instantly thought that COVID-19 was a bioweapon. It was remarkably convenient, and we know that China gained a lot from COVID-19, and Western civilization lost a lot during COVID-19. That would be a concept that would happen today in terms of how you would attack a country, right? It can't be, hey, China's going to gear up and land on American soil and start invading, knocking down doors and invading people that way. It's going to be very tacit, very quiet. Something like a bioweapon makes sense. So in terms of all of the cultural Marxism that we're seeing today, and when I talk about cultural Marxism, I'm talking about what I brought up earlier in terms of what's going on in our classrooms, in terms of these protests that we're seeing that seem insane. You couldn't even fathom this a decade ago. You couldn't fathom a time where it was considered a crime to say that only women can give birth, or that's considered bigoted. A lot of this is actually an attack on America, and it's important that you understand that China is behind a lot of it. China, for those of you that don't know, and you should actually look it up, has had a plan that was intercepted by the CIA years ago. China has had a 100-year plan to take over the world, right? Those are their ambitions, and the idea is that by 2049, which will be the centennial anniversary of Mao and all that he tried to do, the CCP, they want to make sure that they are globally in a position where they are global world power to the West, but is looking to the East and looking to China. Just understand understand that basic idea that China has had this plan, they are implementing this plan. And while you're not learning about what's happening in the South China Sea, they began implementing this plan just by taking control of the South China Sea. For those of you that don't know, maritime trade is so important, right? So just ships being able to move products back and forth, right? If there is a country that can control shipping, they can virtually control the world, or at least control very important elements of it. And this is why there's been so much friction in that region. All of these Asian countries saying, look over here, look over here. China is trying to take over the South China Sea. China said, we have historical claim to the sea, and that is what matters, and this sea is ours. In reality, they just want to control the South China Sea, and they have been effective. They literally they used coral reef that was in the South China Sea to build themselves a military base. There was not an island there, and they literally built an island there, and they now control an entire military base in the South China Sea by the Spratly Islands. You should look that up. It is very important to understand that 33% of the world's trade, maritime trade, goes through the South China Sea, and they now effectively control it. What China has understood about the West in terms of how to weaken the West is that our weakness is that Americans love money, right? Americans, free market, capitalist society, people want to enrich their pockets. The entrepreneurial spirit wants to get to America to make money. And that is how they have played us. They said, okay, what we'll do is we'll just give them what they want in the short term, which is money, and we will look at the industries that have the most impact in America. We will offer those industries money. So one element that I'm talking about is that over the last couple of decades, China has virtually taken over Hollywood, right? So you are never going to hear LeBron James speak out on the atrocities of China, even though he's got a sponsorship with Nike. It would seem like common sense for someone like LeBron James, who is passionately talking about racism and talking about oppression, to obviously take up an issue with Nike and the having a deal with China and the children slaves that they have. Beyond that, they actually have genocidal camps, the Muslim camps, and you're not even allowed to say this on most platforms. You should look into the camps that they have, which they call re-education camps for Muslims. You never hear anybody talk about that at all, and you don't hear our media talk about it. Our media is compromised and taking money from China. Big tech, you don't hear them talking about it. They don't want that to get out, and you, again, don't hear the athletes in Hollywood. They control a lot of the film industry. They started doing deals when our film industries were sinking. I know this because I worked in private equity, and during that time, the company that I was working for was investing a lot of money into films and working in distressed debt, and the film industry was in a lot of debt. And China stepped in and said, we will put up money to buy a lot of these Hollywood film companies, and they did just that. So they are controlling our media. They have money within the sports industry. So all of the idols are working for China, whether they know it or not, right? They know what they can't say, and they have them super focused. There are ties via the Black Lives Matter movement to China. They're putting money into making sure that America is focused on race as they quietly attempt to take over the world. Okay. Something else that you should find to be very interesting, China has a lot of money in our education system. Think about the fact that in China, right, China gets on the world stage. They control, by the way, financially look into the biggest countries that give the most money to the United Nations, the most money to the World Health Organization. The answer is China, right? So China is controlling international liberalism via money. And this is the reason why these organizations are compromised. It dawned on me today that it's very likely that a lot of Democrats, who I believe are not all evil but are severely misinformed, don't understand. They still look at these organizations like United Nations, the World Health Organization, as trying to do good, when in fact they take money, they accept money, and they will do the most good for whatever country is giving them the most money. And right now China controls a lot of that, which is why they never wanted to even look at the Wuhan lab leak theory, and the World Health Organization virtually dismissed it right away. It's because, again, China's giving them money. So when you understand that, and then you take a look at our education system, again, super important to realize that China, at the same time that they're getting on the world stage and saying America needs to deal with their race issues, they are putting Muslims into camps, re-education camps, but again, trying to get us hyper-focused on race and trying to get our kids to learn things about race. Race is something that needs to be discussed in America, race, while they're doing all of these crimes against humanity in their own country. In reality, they just want to make sure that American students are stupid. Beyond that, they are are, we have people that are so focused on gender. Well, think about this. This is super interesting. You can look it up. You can read it in the BBC. At the same time that America is focused on all of these genders, right, on saying there's 26 genders, all this lunacy that's going on, by saying, oh, we're going to recognize all these genders, by saying that.
Sorry, I just got a phone call, and of course that interrupted the live.
America is trying to turn our men into women, while China is trying to make their men more manly. There's literally a masculinity program going on in China to make men more manly.
Now, I want to tell you something here.
Actually focus. You might be being impacted. You need to do everything in your power to make sure that that Trump gets out of office very quickly, that you keep harping on that race narrative, that you call your media people, your Hollywood people, and get the actors and the actresses and the media members to keep talking about race, keep talking about Trump, and to get that man out of office by any means necessary. I'm not going to talk about what extraordinary means they took, but understand that that was the reason that they wanted Trump gone, because Trump was not with China.
Now, that is a video that you should watch. It came out a couple of days ago. She got 2.5 million views so far. And a lot of the things she is speaking about. And again, those of you who are in personality politics, life is going to bite you hard when shit comes up on you that you should have known, but you didn't like the source of the information, so you tuned it out. And you're tuning out to your own detriment. But a lot of what's going on in the world today has to do with that and what's going on in Trinidad. Trinidad is in a debt trap to China. Now, you may think, and I don't bother you, but you're making joke when they say we owe China $6.2 billion. And all they're making little memes that say you're in courts and you're in Digicel, but you never bought nothing from China. Unfortunately, the government's debt binds you to debt. As straight up as that is, long after they're gone, Franklin Can dead and gone, the consequences of the $13 billion that Franklin Can shepherded, the looting that took place between Franklin Can and Malcolm Jones that destroyed Petrotrin. You have to understand the size of the company Petrotrin was. Petrotrin was a multi-billion-dollar organization that at its heyday, and every time the price of oil went to a certain price, we could have buy the whole Caribbean, and we're at $70 a barrel now. So the price of oil should be in our favor, and we should be living in a good and liquid time. Instead, you have a government coming to tell you that we owe $6.2 billion to China, and we have billions owing here and billions owing there. This debt trap built shit for us that we don't need. We're building a flyover so Victoria Keys could get to West Mall sooner. And it's costing the taxpayers of this country $500 million. We should be able to reject that. Who do you go to? The president? The chief justice? Who? Who do you go to that's not in the government or owe their livelihoods to the government? You see the problem with the system? The system is you vote people into office, and then the consequences of that vote, whatever actions they take, they bind you. They bind you. You have no say. And everything that they promised you when they were trying to get your vote, that even though they're not following up on it now, there's nothing you could do. And there's no one you could turn to. When they've compromised the media, so when you see somebody like Uvashi, Akash Samaru, and others starting to get sidelined and targeted, Stefan Rees, Fazir Mohammed, they are not going to last much longer. Stefan Rees works for a media house that is owned by a conglomerate of PNM, either ministers or financiers. Stefan Rees has come far into the middle, and I watch him every day thinking, what is going to be the day? But I mean, he carried Synergy TV for a long time single-handedly, especially when Ian Allen left to go CNC3. And I worry for Fazir in a different position. Fazir is a well-off man and his family have business and he cool. But Stefan not in that position. So I worry for him. And when you see people like him who that's their reality and they still risking it all, the rest of you who sit on your hands, who defend nonsense out of fear, the rest of you, you are going to be responsible. If we lose this country, you're going to be responsible by your inaction. There is a guy I follow, and I want to read the quote exactly to you. Failure to speak is to speak. Failure to act is to act. Bonhoeffer. Let me see if I get it on that. Failure to speak is to speak. Failure to act is to act. I had all of these things at my fingertips. Yeah, look at here. And the truth of the matter, and it's not going to go away, the truth of the matter, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, that's his name. He said, God will not hold us innocent or blameless. He said, silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Failure to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. You should write that down. God will not hold us guiltless. Love how he phrased that. Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Our realities now. And when you look at, and one of the reasons I call the show The Silence of the Lambs is the 510,000 people who claim in the UNC that they want a better country, but they sit in silent. Now I want to show you something. When Jack Warner, the Jack Warner People's Partnership, was so powerful that the only response that the Keith Rowley PNM had was to join up with everybody else. And they met with everybody. I'm telling you, they courted me till I blushed. You feel so nice. They had so much interest, and not just me. Everybody. That's how they end up with a whole new team. And contrast and compare that with Kamala Prasad-Visesa, who is sitting mute and silent, instead of reaching out to all of the people. One of the people who called me today, her family controls a large voting bloc for the PNM. She said to me, she said, you speak on behalf of a large constituency of people, Philip, and that you should be working to translate that into a united organization to take the country forward. And say we're doing that every day. But it's not easy because everybody has their agendas. What on earth is the UNC's agenda? I don't know. I don't know if they are just broken from within, because they have a lot of very terrible people in that party that have no value. And you have to face that. Now, David Naked keeps telling me, if you're in an organization, you don't have to deal with everybody. You can ignore some, and that's true. They have UNC people who say on the thread, UNC don't trust me. I'll tell you why UNC don't trust me. Because if I am in the UNC, and it is in government, and they begin to engage in corruption, I'll bring that government down. And they know that. So when they say that UNC don't trust you, they don't finish the sentence. The UNC don't trust you because you won't allow them to take part in the corruption that they want to go and take part in again. You will expose it. You will damage it, as I did when the UNC was in office during the People's Partnership, and I was a communications advisor to Gary Griffith, and every other week Gary told me, you're going to get us fired because I was the person who got them to stop spending taxpayers' funds putting Kamala's face on billboards and take down all the billboards. I was the person who did that. And I went on TV, on every show, to tell them Anil Roberts had to step down as Minister of Sport. He's responsible for live sport, either by his direct action or his total inaction. Complicity or incompetence, the same responsibility. The buck stops at the top. The captain steers the ship. And the only thing that they could say, they don't trust me for, is that they say Philip is not a team player. But they say it in the context of criminality and corruption. That Philip won't let things slide. No, I won't. I don't believe in the politics of accommodation for wrongdoing. I rather watch the ship sink. I don't want to be part of it sinking. Don't tell me that they come on the threads. They will be on this thread tonight. When I'm talking this, they'll come and say this nonsense. Forget all that. PNM is the enemy. I remember when PNM people were saying, forget all that. UNC is the enemy. The enemy is corruption. The enemy is the drug trade. The enemy is the Chinese debt trap. The enemy is poverty. The enemy is failure of this government time and again to maximize the full value of this country's benefits to the benefit of all its people. That's the enemy. The enemy to me is not PNM or UNC, you know. The enemy is what the PNM and the UNC have shepherded and stewarded through the 58 years we've had government in this country. The enemy is the failure to do a proper public health because 1%ers making themselves fabulously rich through our regional health authorities. And if you audited the regional health authorities within a real justice system, not one where people could manipulate outcomes, in a real justice system with a real inquiry into our regional health authorities alone, plenty people have jail to make. Big shot people in this country, people with real title, and if you go back far enough, you could jail ministers, if not prime ministers. This country is very corrupt. And you know that. Everybody knows it. Everybody says, yeah, boy, Phil, but. The PNM supporters will say, yeah, boy, Phil, but. And the UNC supporters, yeah, boy, Phil, but. They have no but. We either for the right thing or we for the wrong thing. You can't be for the right thing if you're with the UNC, but it's wrong. Or you're for the right thing with the PNM, but it's wrong if the UNC. It's bullshit. You can't have flexible morals. That's what got us to here. People saying voting for the lesser of two evils. Voting for the lesser evil is still voting evil. And I am willing still to work with the UNC because the UNC is the largest available voter bloc in this country. I ain't telling you we ain't growing it. I ain't telling you we ain't big, you know. I ain't telling you they can't ignore us. If the UNC want to play chicken with us come election time, if the team say go, we go. And if you know that the vote split and I know that the vote split and both of we know that if you can't talk to me PNM going back into office and you okay with that, I'm telling you no, account to your people for that. We ain't coming off the road. We are making space for you. Our mission is a better Trinidad and Tobago. And we will sit and talk with you. And number one on the thing is no corruption. None. There must be no corruption. Zero. There must be an end to the drug trade. We must secure the nation's borders. Our education system must become one-level prestige school system for all our children. There must be accountability and transparency. Shut down all the special purpose companies and return to a transparent and publicly transparent tender system for the expenditure of all public funds. That's what we're going to negotiate, and that's what they're afraid. When you think they're ducking, that's what they're ducking. Philip, why you and Kamala not talking? Because Kamala don't want to talk. Because Kamala knows what I'm going to say. They know it well. that I am going to say, squeaky clean, impeccable, we are going to be a government for all the people. That even though your roots are in Rienzi complex, from the moment you touch down, and let everybody in your party hear this, for Philip Edward Alexander to come on board and bring his thousands of followers, the only reason we will come on board is if you are a government for all the people. And what you're building in Rapai Village, you're building in Waterhole. And if you can't do that, and if you can't commit to that, then I'm not interested. If we can't fix the country all wrong, if we can't target all, if we can't go in Bacadere and we can't go in Caroni and we can't go Beetham same time, then I'm not interested. I can't be a party to that. I'm not interested in the transference of power between two parties that represent the same criminal elite that have used governments time and again to loot this country. Different flavors, different hairstyles, different color skin, whatever. And beyond that bullshit, I keep telling you, I'm 54. And beyond that bullshit now. If it is not for a better country, I'm not interested. I don't care what you're selling. I don't care what you're telling me. And 28 years now, I've been fighting in these trenches. I've had everything that you could say about me said about me. Do you think you could bring something new? To terrorize me? Or to make me feel, all right, I'll toe your line? I'm not interested. We want to come straight down the center. We want an end to corruption, an end to the drug trade. We want a balanced economy. We want to make sure that all of the benefits of all of the country goes to all of the people regardless of race, color, creed, or class. That we want to lift from the bottom up. That's always been the message. So when a certain COP heavy roller took my whole plan called Rise and gave it to Winston Dukaran, who gave it to Kamla Prasad. So all they took from it was the word rise and write a song with Orange Sky. Together we will all rise. And make it the slogan of the plan was all they took. Together we will rise. Everybody who's ever heard that slogan don't understand where it came from. I wrote that. Now I have the original document still. And that's why the reason why, anyway, stay far from that. But I have the original document still. And the idea together we will rise, you know what together we will rise meant? That we will twin Westmoreland with Laventille. And that we will make sure the children of Laventille have the same benefits when they come home from school as the children of Westmoreland. And for us together to rise, Fatima College and Mokorapo Secondary have to have the same quality education, the same standards. We must be having the same measurables, and every term we must know that our children are moving forward, upwards together. That is together we will rise. That's what it meant. None of them in the UNC knew what it meant. To them, it was a slogan. It's still the plan. It's still the mission. I'm watching people like Brian Stone and them who spend decades of their life fighting behind a political ideology that cannot work to the betterment of the country. And if you are going to contribute to criminality, but you say our side do it so it better, I don't know how you rationalizing that. I can't. I can't. I'd rather not be part of that. But Kamla Prasad Bisesa, for now, holding all the cards. Because those 510,000 people that still think they're trapped behind the UNC, those people, if they're not motivated to come out and vote, PNM win. Because PNM, this PNM, is going to work that machine. And I don't even know if we'll end up with our next election, to be honest with you. The political power that's up for grabs right now, I don't know if we're going to have our next elections. I don't know between them. I don't know what they're planning next. Trinidad is in a very dangerous place. And the shield that COVID-19 is giving them is frightening. We have a state of emergency for no reason. Nobody's talking about that. This state of emergency is not in any way affecting the outcomes of COVID-19. There's a quicker way to fix COVID-19 and end it, but they won't do that. Because a lot of people will get exposed. They have people in this country prefer dog whistling and telling people the slave catchers was hung. There was some shit. And I expect to be hung too instead of running them out of office. None of them get fired. Not one. Not one of them. Stuart Young get promoted. for lying repeatedly to the nation. And he don't care. They don't have to answer. They don't have to answer. There are so many things I want to speak to, but I don't want to be petty. I don't want to be, it's too easy for us to, everything is an old talk, everything is a meme, everything is a joke. Okay, fine. How many times are going to see Keith Rowley in address? What is that doing for us politically? And I'm not knocking it, fine, it's an old talk, good. But how much times we going to do it? How much time we going to talk about Faris Cheron? It get past an election, drop the issue. If you couldn't use it to beat them in the last election, deal with what happened from 2020 going forward. Because this is our reality. How many more of those jokes, while you still running down Faris Cheron when they was teenagers, they're now grown up and in business and doing well. And using, while you distracted by their past, they building their future. The thing that we should be building is our country. Right now, we should be building a political machine so powerful, the government will know that it is only a matter of time. That if they step wrong, they lost, and it will push the country in a better direction. Kamla Persad-Bissessar needs help. She is the opposition leader. There is a team of ousted UNC members. The most vocal of them is Ramona Ramdia. Ramona is only focused on Kamla, like Michaela was for a time. But you can't just be focused on the leadership of that party from a position of change her so you could get better if you did not try to do that. And that's why I will never respect Vasan Bharat. Because Vasan Bharat had 2 and 3 ministries while under Kamla and couldn't speak out the way he's speaking out now. And I don't respect you. Because you come across as an opportunist. If you can't hold one line and speak that truth continuously. Now, I'm not saying Ramona is sour grapes like the rest of you all say it. But a lot of it comes across that way. Because she's not looking like she has a plan. The only plan that they seem to have is destabilize Kamla. All of them. Jack Warner did the same thing, destabilize Kamla. They come out and they challenge her, destabilize her, bad talk her, do all those things to minimize her. Instead of finding a way to say, all right, we speak for this power base, let's talk, let's negotiate. All over the world, power bases work together to get a government in office. In Trinidad and Tobago, we need all of the good people to be a power base now. We need that. We need that. I'm willing, I tell you, Kamla Persad-Bissessar could stay leader. I'm willing to work with her. People say you have to move her for the party to win. I don't know if that is true. To be honest with you, the only deal that you could make with Kamla Persad-Bissessar now is say, listen, you're the next president of the republic. I said that, other people start to say it one time. So I like that others pick up the truth and walk with the truth. But you still have to put somebody in there to lead that party that people trust. And it can't be pros and cons bullshit. Well, I don't like this, I like that, I don't like that. It had to be people that you know that is steady. A steady hand is going to take it away. I'm not auditioning for the job. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that we need to make sure, and it can't just be talk shop. It can't. You have to show me what you've done. Show me what you've done with your talents. Show me what you've done with your life and your time. How have you made anything better for anybody by your existence? Because if you're saying you're waiting to have public office to make a difference, then you're bullshitting me. You're waiting to have public office so you can have it nice. If you care about people, compassion for people makes you work. Tonight, before this video, tonight, my son called me to tell me 2 things I have to talk to you about. One, what was the first one? I can't remember. I said, listen, I'm going live, we'll talk about that after. He said, the second one more important. I said, what it is? He said, the homeless people in town used to benefit from little market and little shop that's not there and they close and nobody taking care of them, and we have to have a conversation about that. You see, my son grew up feeding the homeless, regular. We used to do something called My Daily Soup. And we used to work with people who used to donate the material. Other people used to cook the soup, and others used to go downtown and feed the homeless. My son's every Christmas day, for as long as he and I could remember, has been eat breakfast by Granny Pat and then go and give out food to the homeless. We spend our whole Christmas season coordinating the food drive. And you look back on my history, you will see. And there were a lot of... Listen, I'm saying, that's who, if you're voting, look for people that like people. Because you can't feed, I tell you the other day, boy, was it last Christmas or Christmas before? I can't even remember. I had to go and hand a man food who was sitting on the Brandara Promenade in the vicinity of Express House. And he was on the pavement. It is Christmas morning, and he is covered like he rubbed it into himself. I have the pictures. He is covered in feces. He is plastered himself. He's sitting in feces, and he's plastered himself, so the flies are buzzing, and the smell, I tell you, it's like a cough in your face. Holding your breath, you're smelling it. And I had to walk up and hand that man food. And I am only hoping this man doesn't move and flick whatever this is on me. And they had to do that. And we will laugh and joke about it after, because everybody say, They have some people when you're feeding them. It as a challenge. There was a guy who was by General Hospital for at least two different times we had to deal with him. And he had open wounds with maggots, and that's hard to deal with. I don't get sidetracked with that, because that's not what you all came to hear. But I just saying that we have so many people in this country in so much need, and there are so many good people outside there that answering that need. Look for those people. It is the people who have a heart for people that you want in government. They don't change easily. They don't become corrupt easily. They've been doing this their whole lives. They know what they know what the story is. So we can't wait till election 25. We need elections now. We can't have elections now unless there is something electable. Plain talk. Because I want to tell you this. I don't believe that the difference would be that dramatic if it was the UNC in office. These people, many of these people that manipulating this PNM was manipulating the UNC and benefited on it. It turns my stomach. It makes me sick that both of those parties, and twice I came very close to joining the UNC this year. You all know that. But it just turns my stomach. Some of the people, I cannot pretend to sit across a table from them and pretend that I'm okay with them when I'm not. And in a meeting, Akasia stink. I don't like corruption. I don't like criminality. I don't like evil. I don't like it. And I was content to make an example and to go as hard as I could for 2020, the Progressive Empowerment Party, and didn't stop. All of these things, you'll talk about EBC corrupt and Speaker don't do this and Senate President do that, all those things. Kamla Persad-Bissessar had the largest power of any prime minister in a long time. She had more than a special majority. And if they wanted to fix these things, they would have fixed it. Bitching about it now, sorry, I find it hard to accept. When you had the actual power, you didn't need the PNM to vote with you. You had the power to fix it. You could have written laws, every single thing that exists in the parliament, in the government, all of it. The police service is a law that speaks it into existence. The army is a law that speaks it into existence. For there to be a constitution, there has to be a statement. We the people, and this is what we the people are, and we the people, and from there you flow to how you're going to manage your country and how we have our country set up to run a shit. It's pure shit. The president knows that she has no power. She wrote me back and told me that when I told her in 2020, this election is going to cause a COVID-19 spike. You shouldn't be doing it. She said, I have no authority to stop this. So that was the point of it. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is not, as far as I am aware, meeting with all of the people that are available to help get her into office. There are people like Michaela Pandey and Suzette Lauer, and you don't have to like them, because I want to tell you something. There are people that are in the government now, in the PNM government, in ministerial positions, who don't like Rowley, and Rowley don't like them. And you know that. Fought with them, fought against each other. Call members and Keith Rowley. Make some statements about each other. Google them now. See what call members say about Rowley when Rowley was challenging Manning. See what Rowley say about call members, and see what Emile Elias say about call members. All of these people, all of them, they don't like one another. Plenty of them hate one another, but they in business together to work together. Kamla Persad-Bissessar could find a way to work with these people if she wanted to. I think they have a lot of good people that she should be talking to. And the fact that she isn't, she seems to be content to sit there and see if organizations like ours will help her along the government so she could just walk in. That's not on the cards. We're not cutting track for Guti to run. We have no interest in that. And I have seen that others are in full war with the UNC instead of the UNC sitting with them and talking to them. And I've been telling them, Jolene John is the deputy political lead, and I've been telling her, your communications team is alienating people from your party. Your communications is coming across nasty, combative, aggressive. I know UNC followers don't want to hear that. The people who follow me, who are UNC leaning, they don't want to hear me say this. So keep yourself in denial. More shit to come. As the country gets worse, keep telling yourself you're loyal to our party to ask with the country. Because that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. By that action alone, that's what you're saying. If you know that better could be done, and you don't fight for that, then you take. There is a consequence. There's a consequence to the people who support the PNM, and there's a consequence. I'm going to tell you something. Somebody called me and asked me, why don't I try to get a job as PRO for the UNC? I can't take that position yet. I have come to a place where when Kirk Megu got the job, and they offered him the job, we met the next morning for breakfast. And I told him that they are going to damage your career. If you don't have a plan, a budget, and a communications team, all this will do is damage your political career. And worse, he had a reputation as a political scientist and a historian, and all that gone out the window. Now he's just UNC talking head. That's all he is, talking shit for UNC. Because they will drag you into this mud, and you'll become part of it. It's not easy to be in that and be out of it. You have to have strong moral fiber. And the problem is, you're gonna end up as the communications person having to defend actions of people that you're not gonna be sure about. And that teamwork that is required for that conspiracy to work, I don't have that in me. I need a confirmation from the top, from Kamala, whoever's in charge, that this party will not stand for corruption and wrongdoing. And I need a commitment in writing. Because I tell you, if I am part of a government and there is corruption taking place, I will root it out. I ain't waiting for the public. I will go at it. And I know that is why Gary was fired from the UNC. Gary was fired because of live sport and the allegations against Anand Ramlogan. So you're saying to me that you would fire the strongest politician you had, the man with the largest popularity base, to defend people who were named in wrongdoing. I don't think that the UNC has changed its spots, unfortunately. And it is why I believe, again, all of the forces of good in this country have to come together and have to work together to build a better option, so that all of the people who are stuck and say they have no choice, that's why they vote PNM, or they have no choice and that's why they vote UNC, and give them a choice. And if in the face of a choice you don't vote, there are people who tell me, like, how much votes will they get at the election and things. Now, I could answer them and I could tell them, if Kamala step out of the UNC and go independent, she lost. And if Keith Rowley step out of the PNM, because when Manning had isolated Rowley in Diego Martin and only gave him a 20 by 20 tent and one bulb, Rowley almost lost Diego Martin West to Rocky Garcia. Rocky Garcia is a political lightweight, a featherweight, brings nothing to the table but anti-Rowley sentiment. Now he's pro-Rowley. Come on. Come on. These fellas, Rowley lost in Tobago. His first time out. I can answer you. Why answer? Why fight that? To those who don't want to see the truth, they have to settle for what they get. My job is not to follow you down the road. If you look at me on Facebook for the last however long, you don't see me in no argument with nobody. You don't see me answering comments on the threads just so. Most of the times if I answer a comment on a thread, it's to steer somebody whose information might be wrong. Even that is few and far between. The most you will see is when somebody says something correct and I say, indeed, well said. They have no more fight in that for me. Because I have learned, those who do not want to see, there are nothing I can do to make you see. Carry on. Me fighting with you because you fight with me? Nah. Best piece of advice I get in the longest while, somebody say, you don't have to show up to every argument you're invited to, you know. I like that. I like that statement. Leave them to argue by themselves. People just share, look, this man attacking you, look what he's saying about you. Ignore, ignore. How much followers he have? 3, 5, 7? Who talking to him? Who he talking to? Ignore. Don't go on their page. Don't give them that, don't push back. Leave them. Check it back in a week. See where they are. Where I am and where they are. Because my stocks, even with limited, Facebook in some of the pages has limited the amount of audience that could come on some of the pages. And even with that, we got over 2 million views in the last 28 days. And I will take time out of my schedule to go and argue with jokers who have 17 followers on a thread, who making the most scandalous accusations against me. What am I going to do? Fight with them? That will change their mind? No. Leave them. They will hopefully find something else to distract them and they'll go chasing that. Or just monitor the 17 followers, the next post down to 13, a post again, you're down to 3. I know you're over. Your reach is done. And I used to do it the other way. You say something about me, I come in at you to defend myself, not knowing that me coming at you to defend myself, giving you things to screenshot and notification coming up, anything that telling people Philip answering so and so, gave you attention, gave you my audience, my 100,000 followers coming to see what I'm doing with you. And that just gave some of these credibility. Now that I have removed the spotlight completely, that's all it took. Remove the light. They're still barking in the corner, you know. But they're barking when nobody could hear them. So it doesn't matter. And they know it. And they know that I know it. And that's what matters to me. That I know that all I had to do was turn my back and it was over. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to get beyond the politics of bacchanal and noise. I'm not interested. When you call me and you message me about bacchanal, look on my wall. You don't see that. You don't see that. It's not that I don't know. Where's Church Young daughter? The Father's Day meme picture of Rowley, Faris, and Church Young. The people who don't recognize the children and all kind of shit. Yeah, okay. It feels good to do it. But it's like rocking in a rocking chair. It gives you the impression that you're going somewhere, but you're staying in the same spot. I know that my voice is strong. And I know people like the clap back and the slap back. They love that. You do it properly, you get 20,000 shares. People saying, boy, look at this. Good, but not go out in public again and all that kind of thing. Fine. And there'll be times for that. I'm not telling you there's no time, but not every time. At some point in time, what we have to really focus on as a people is the truth of our condition. And where do we go from here? It always have to come down to that. Where do we go from here? How do you get on the WhatsApp group? Just message Satish Ramsaran. He'll fix you up one time. And Satish Ramsaran is the head of that. You can talk to Hadassah. She'll link you up with him. Yeah. So, Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago is our main focus right now. Citizens Union is a massively growing organization that protects the public from public and private sector abuse. We've also been able to help members of our organization who needed hampers during this time. We work with the members, the Citizens Union members who own businesses. We just put out our first newsletter with a couple hundred businesses and special deals that they offer to Citizens Union members. We encourage our Citizens Union members to support all the citizens, all the businesses that are Citizens Union members. We want to build a microeconomy growing into a larger version of itself, where people, those same companies, when they need employees, I want them to reach out to us and hire from among our people. And we're working that together. That interconnection of people seeking each other's interests is how a country's supposed to work. And we're going to do that as a proof of concept. Now, we're doing that. Yeah? So, if you're not yet a member of the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, you should join. citizensunion.org and citizensunion.com. Go fill out the form. That's it. It's a very short form and you could join. If you're in business and you want a couple, we have a couple thousand well members, and if you want that couple thousand well members to bring their business to you, whatever kind of business you do, then reach out to Felicia Holder. She is the Chief Operating Officer of the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago. Her phone number is 769-4590. You could WhatsApp her and begin the conversation to discuss how you could come on board and what works for you. Our members are benefited from things from auto garages to hospitals that giving our members all kind of specials and tests for free and all kind of drama. We have farmers, we have grocers, we have hardware owners, we have people who do masonry, carpentry, electrical, plumbers. So you in this organization, when you get that newsletter, you could look and find people that are Citizens Union members like yourself. So when you call them and you say, I am a Citizens Union member and I would like to come by you to get so, because they are a Citizens Union member as well, they will treat you better. And that's the plan, that we look out for one another. People keep saying sign up, but no contact form, anyone yet since April. I don't know if that is true. Sean Sunarine is the man in charge of that, and he is very thorough. And if he come on the thread to see that post, he will tell me where that mistake was made, if any. So you could reach out. Hadassah is on the thread. You could message Hadassah. She could help you forward that to where it needs to go. Yeah? Silence of the Lambs. We need to turn this around. We need to find a way to turn this around. We need to come together as people and make a better country. There's no other solution. Everything that happens next to this country will happen either because we allow it or we stand against it. Comes down to that. There are a lot of good people. Next week, Thursday, we launch the Activist Council, 8 o'clock live. And that Activist Council is going to include people like, in that first episode, because we're reaching out to people, it's going to include people like my brother Paul, Stefan Rees, Candice Barrett, Winston Ragu, Inchan Ishmael. We've sent a message to Suzette Lau and Gary Aboud, and we also are interested in getting in touch with Marsha Riley. Vernon De Lima has agreed to come on board and give us some legal counsel. We're going to be talking about the issues of the day. Candice Barrett, who's going to be speaking specifically to women's issues, but she's also an attorney at law. There are a lot of good people, and more going to come on board and give you, I guess, hope that there is, outside of the bacchanal politics, there is hope. And your job is to water hope. Your job is to give hope room to grow. Because if you want hope to benefit you, you have to help hope grow. You can't want there to be an organization that grow to take care of you and your family, but you doing everything in your power to support the things that are working against you. Look around. 58 years later, nothing works. If I say to you nothing works, nothing, and you want to challenge me, show me something that works. And I'm willing to have that conversation. There is no organization of state in this country that is functional. Like a pack of cigarettes. A pack of cigarettes is the only product sold on the market, if used as directed, will kill you. Our systems of state seem to have been deliberately set up to the detriment of our people. Look at the conditions of our roads. Look at the amount of rain that fell today, and our drainage systems that flow into canals, that flow into rivers, washed all that water out to sea. And then we're going to spend $500 million this year on desalcut, taking that water back in as seawater and desalinating it again. Now, if that is not a textbook definition of insanity, explain to me how Fatima College and Mokorapo Secondary could exist across the road from one another. One be a top 5 school, the other be a bottom of the rung school. Both get the curriculum, they stay on the same curriculum, they get the same teachers from the same teachers training college, and they're under the same Ministry of Education. How could one, if they're doing the same work, how could one be, and I ask all the time, if you say to me, any answer to that, I ask you, if you took all the children from Mokorapo and put them in Fatima, and if you took all the children from Fatima and put them in Mokorapo, which one would succeed? And you will know if you're a bigot, if you think that the children in Fatima moving to Mokorapo will still succeed, and because then that means you're blaming the children, and that's not right. And it's not true. We need a better country. And we're not going to get a better country as long as we believe in nonsense. Yeah? Fixing the country is a simple aspect. Fixing the politics. I don't want to be like Winston Ducaran and these fellas who make so many accommodations with their political career that by the time they reach into office, they can't recognize themselves, and they have no ability to do all the things that they set out to do in the beginning. I don't want to be that. I love that Hadassah reminds me that a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's always what we're supposed to be. Going forward from here, there is going to be a day when this state of emergency ends. Satish told me to remind you all this. I've walked from Arima to Port of Spain. I am walking again. The day the state of emergency ends, the next day at noon, I'll be in Arima. Until tomorrow, stay safe.